Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to drive stick shift. This is my 2007 Honda Civic EX and I've had it for about 3 years now. This is my first car, and the reason I'm showing you guys how to drive stick shift is because I learned partly how to drive stick shift by watching YouTube videos about it, and I think I can help you guys out by being a little bit more clear. So if you're interested in watching, hop in with me. Okay guys, so the first step you're going to do when you hop in your car is make sure that it's in neutral before you start it. So in manual cars you have to push the clutch in all the way in order to turn the car on, and if you don't do that your car just won't turn over. Like, you'll have electric power but the engine won't start. So the first step you're going to do is make sure that your car is in neutral before turning it on. And most manual cars and manual car drivers like to put their car in a gear because there's not an actual parking gear. So this actually, this ensures that your car won't roll back or roll forward if in case your parking brake fails. So we're gonna do that right now. Okay guys, so as you can see, my car, well, if you're a beginner you don't know this, but my car's actually in third gear right now, and to see if you're in a gear you can just shake it slightly, and if it doesn't move side to side like drastically, that means you're in a gear. So what I'm gonna do is push the clutch in and move it out of third gear. So now I'm in neutral and it moves a lot more than it did when it was like this. So it's in neutral. So I can go ahead and start my car now and keep my foot on the clutch. And because I'm in neutral, I can take my foot off the clutch and not worry about it rolling forward. Sorry guys, that was a motorcycle. But yeah, so since I'm in neutral, I can take my foot off the clutch and I won't roll forward. Now, this is just my parking mode pretty much. So my next step is going to be pushing the clutch in, holding the brake, releasing my parking brake, and then shifting into first gear. And in most cars, in America at least, your first gear is going to be the gear that's all the way to the left and up. So it's going to be like this. You can actually read right here that first is right here. So by following this little channel, you slide it this way and then push up, and you'll feel it getting gear. And usually, sometimes my car doesn't want to get in gear, like if I'm in reverse. Sometimes I have to shift it into first to line up the linkage of the gears, but it's working today. So I'm in first right now, and do not let out the clutch when you're in a gear, because if you do, this will happen. Now we just stalled out, so it's no biggie and it's gonna happen, it's inevitable. So what you can do is either keep it in first, or if you're a beginner, keep it easy on yourself and put it back in neutral. And you do that by holding in the clutch. So it's in neutral, I'm holding the clutch in still so I can restart it. Then I put my foot on the brake. So I'm gonna try this again, going into first. And then in order to get rolling in first is usually the hardest gear to master. So, and each car is different. My car is a lot more worn in, so it's a lot easier to drive in my opinion than say a brand new car. And it's also a Honda and they're made to drive easy. So to get out of first, what you're gonna do is let the clutch out very lightly until you start to feel yourself roll. So let the clutch out very slightly. And when you start to hear the engine die down, and you can do this by looking at the RPMs too, when the RPMs start to drop, that's when you start to add a little bit of gas. So I'm going to do that for you guys right now. and then just let out slowly, because if you let out too fast, it'll be really jerky, and sometimes that'll make you stall out too. So we're just driving around. I gotta turn on my AC, guys. I apologize. It's 104 degrees out here in Arizona, and I'm sweating profusely, but I want to get this video out for you guys. So we are in first gear now, and I don't usually like to shift to second gear. Second gear, you shift, it's pretty much the same thing as getting into first. So to shift to second gear, I'm gonna turn around for you guys. I apologize, I'm not wearing my seatbelt, but I'm only in a parking lot, so I don't really need to, but that alert will just keep going off. But anyways, so I'm in first still, as you can see, and I'm gonna go up to about 13 miles an hour, and then push the clutch in, pull straight back to second, let the clutch out slowly, and give it gas again. So now I'm in second gear. So the next step I'm gonna show you guys is downshifting. So downshifting helps to preserve your brakes, and it's one of the many perks of driving a manual transmission car. You use it to slow down. It's more, it uses your engine to slow down rather than friction. So I'm gonna show you guys how to do that now. So I'm gonna shift into third here in just a second. So now I'm in third, and then say I'm coming to a stop sign. What I'm gonna do is downshift into second. So by doing that, I go to second, and I go over and to the back to second, and just let out the clutch slowly. And now I'm back in second gear. So another tip I want to give you guys is to never downshift into first gear unless you absolutely have to. I'm gonna put my seatbelt on. So yeah, so don't shift to first gear unless you absolutely have to, unless you slow down to like 3 miles per hour, which happens very rarely. But usually I like to downshift to second, and then I'll put it into neutral, and then just brake the rest of the way, because every time I try to shift into first gear, it's very, very shaky and jerky. Alright, my friend's gonna put his seatbelt on now because the alert is getting really annoying, and I know you guys don't like that. So we won't have that problem anymore. But yeah, so I'm in second gear right now, and usually to know how to shift, when to shift into the next gear is I use my ears. I just listen to the engine, and if the engine sounds like it's whining, or if it needs a, I don't know, like a little bit of a break, like it does like right now, then I would shift into second, or I would shift into third actually. But now I'm at a stop again. So to go through this again, you put your foot all the way, you press the clutch all the way to the floor, which is what I'm doing right now, and then you move it into first. Then you're gonna let the clutch out until your RPMs drop and you start to roll forward, and that's when you give it gas. And you can kind of think of it as being like you give it medicine, because it's starting to feel weak. So to make it easier on yourself, you can think of it as that way. So what you're gonna do is let out the clutch, and then give it gas to roll forward. And then keep that clutch, like let it out very slowly until you're in that gear, and you'll know when you're in that gear. So now I'm at another stop sign. I'm gonna show you guys. Okay, so listen closely. Okay, that sound is how I know I need to shift. So then I shift into third, and see how it's a lot more calm, and the RPMs go back down. And so that's pretty much the basics of driving stick shift. It's really not hard, but you definitely have to be hands-on with it. You can't just expect to learn all the tips and tricks and be a perfect stick shift driver just immediately after watching a couple YouTube videos, but the tips I gave you will help, and you certainly know a lot more now about driving a stick shift than you would have if you didn't watch my video. So I'm going to go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. You're all the way up there. Okay, so now I'm gonna turn around and see how I didn't shift into first? Because if I would have shifted into first, it would have been very jerky and just an uncomfortable ride. I try to drive, I don't drive like a crazy person. I drive really comfortably, and I know that anytime I've really ever ridden with somebody who has a manual transmission, I usually get car sickness pretty easily, but I've never had any complaints about that. I consider myself to be a very good driver, and you know, I've had my fender benders and stuff, but everybody does, and that's just a part of driving. You know, you have to learn from your mistakes. And so yeah, I'm in third gear now. My engine's not whining or anything. It's below 2,000 RPM, so that's a pretty good cruising speed. I'm going about 25. So like I said though, every car is different. So it's a matter of what you hear and what your car is telling you. So some cars don't even want to be in third gear if you're under 30. So it all depends on the transmission, what type of car you have. And this isn't a race car, this is an economic car. I love my car because it's such a good car to me. I've driven it across the United States multiple times, and it's just a really good car. So I really recommend you guys to learn how to drive a stick shift at least one point in your life, because even though that they're just not being made as much anymore, you can still find them, and it's always good to have one because you really do have so much more control of your vehicle, and they last so much longer, less maintenance than an automatic car, and they're overall they're fun to drive. Like, this car feels like a little go-kart, and I just really enjoy driving it. But so yeah, so oh, one more tip too. When you're coming to a stop sign or a stoplight, you don't always have to downshift. You can usually just put your car in neutral, which is what I do sometimes, only sometimes. You can just put it in neutral when you're rolling, so just push the clutch in, pull back, and now you're in neutral, and then just use the brake to stop. So that's just the easy way, but you'll wear out your brakes very quickly by doing that. So I don't usually do that too often, but yeah, so that's my video on how to drive stick shift for beginners, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you have any questions, comments, or anything you'd like to ask me, then please feel free to comment. And also, if you enjoyed this, subscribe to my channel, and I upload up to 3 videos every week, so I hope to see you guys. So thanks for watching, and have a good rest of your day.